Good day, it is September the 8th, and on behalf of Selco, I welcome you all to the third FeedTechnoVision event. My name is Donatello Pires, and I'm your moderator for today. Glad that you are here. We have prepared a lovely program for you, as we have world-renowned experts and speakers on feed processing and efficiency for the table discussion and how the industry will respond and is expected to adapt to the current crisis. The challenge is highlighting potential short-term solutions to cope with high input costs for feed manufacturers while providing safe and at the same time high-quality feed in order, of course, of feeding the future. With me here is Pedro Carmona. He is Category Director of Feed Safety and Quality at Selco Feed Additives. Been working in the feed additive industry for the past 17 years, so he knows something about it, and his experience comes from having active roles in management, technical support, sales, R&D in United States and across EMEA, and he's here with us. Welcome.
Well, good morning, Donatello.
Let us start with the important question, why this event today?
Well, it's a very good question, Donatello. We have the third session of the FeedTechnoVision coming live today. Very excited to be here. And I think it's a very particular need for this sort of discussion as we see today. You see inflation, particularly food inflation,
yes,
trends to reach double-digit growth in the next couple of months, triggered by post-pandemic effects, supply chain disruptions, and also the recent energy crisis driven by the geopolitical tension. So it's very important that we have a space to discuss ideas. Where can we help and support the feed industry moving forward?
Yes, so I guess it is important that we are discussing this. You, of course, invited, like I previously mentioned, renowned speakers for the table discussion, but also to address. We also have some knowledge sharing ahead. What do you think is important that we discuss here at the table?
Yeah, so the feed industry is particular risk exposed to the current scenario. As you see, costs like energy and raw materials would make up around 90% of the operational costs. So the main take-home messages that we'll have and key deliverables, one of them is how to adapt to the raw material procurement positions and quality control schemes to safeguard availability and sustain high-quality feed standards. The second biggest important part is how to understand the impact of the use of the available raw materials on feed processing and how can we adapt for efficiency on energy use and cost reduction. So those are the very key points that we got from around the world in terms of the key messages, but also we want to make it very practical so that we can utilize them very, I would say, in the short term, mid-term, to overcome the current situation that we're living on.
And what needs to happen? I mean, when at the end, because I will ask you, of course, Pedro, when are you satisfied with today's event?
I would say the most critical part is that we have a good interaction with the participants all over the world. We have a large participation of hundreds of people now that are watching live. We really want to see that participation, but also from the speakers that will be here, a panel of speakers, that we see critical mass being discussed on key objectives, key strategies to try to reduce the current situation we are on.
Okay. Thank you so much, Pedro. You will be also one of our panelists at the end of the session today. And then we'll come back to you, of course, with the most important conclusions that you have after we have all the discussions. And ladies and gentlemen, dear attendees, it's good to have you here. And like Pedro previously mentioned, we would like you to be part of this show. And for this, we work with Mentimeter. And this means that with the Mentimeter system, we would like you to connect, and we will broadcast it right now. And if you see, there are two easy ways to connect to the Mentimeter system. The first is that we have the QR code, and secondly, you can simply go to menti.com, enter the code 4284348, and then you will be sliding into the system. So we will have a QR QR code for you briefly coming up right now, and that is the way that you can connect with your smartphone wherever you are, at the venue, in your home offices, in the office, and try to connect with the system, either with your smartphone going into the QR code, and otherwise, of course, just simply go to your browser, digit menti.com, and then go to the code, and that is the unique event code for today, 42843448. And of course, I will give you the opportunity to connect with us, because that is the way that you can participate at the table discussion, but also raise questions during the presentations of our speakers. And afterwards, then we can right away start with the Q&A session. I see that people are coming in right now. In the first place, of course, you can't do a lot besides giving your like or your love, depending a little bit on the mood this morning. More likes than love for now. And I will keep the QR code for a couple of seconds on. That's the easiest way to slide into the system and to participate for the table discussions, to raise questions for the speakers, of course. And we might have some questions prepared for you as well, just to get into the system. So for now, I will go to the first question, where you can simply go to menti.com and use the code in your browser 42843448, and that is broadcasted above in the screen. So where are you joining us from? Please digit the cities where you are, or the countries. Of course, we are broadcasting here from the Netherlands in Europe, but I know that there are people from all over the world watching now. Might be a little bit more eastwards, Pedro, besides, just because otherwise people have to participate in the middle of the night. But it is recorded, so everybody subsequently will have the opportunity to watch. I will particularly address all the participants from the Victim Asia event in Bangkok, because we know that you are there. So welcome. It's good to have you here. And I think I see Bangkok, I see Thailand. That is the biggest word, and that means that the most of the attendees come from that specific country. We see Taiwan, we see Singapore, we see Amsterdam, we see Italy, we see France, South Africa, the victim, they said it, Lithuania, Norway, what do we have? Catalonia, Indonesia, Drunen, big city, Barcelona, India, and all other Asia. A lot of cities and countries have been stated, and right now a lot of people are coming in. I will give you briefly the opportunity again for the QR code if you're just logging in right now. We're in the introduction of the third, I have to say, FeedTechnoVision event, and this is the way to participate. So if you just scan the QR code with your smartphone, that is the opportunity for you to join us. Okay, the next question is a more serious one, of course. Which global crisis does affect your daily job the most? And it's a multiple choice question, so you can choose upon trade disputes, climate change, staff shortage, energy prices, the war in Ukraine, or the COVID-19 pandemic. That is, of course, depending on where you are in the world, still influencing your daily jobs. And that's also the first answer was the COVID-19 pandemic. The second one is the war in Ukraine. Which global crisis does affect your daily jobs the most? Please give us your answers. And right now we see that people are doing that. Pedro, what do you think is, if you had to pick one, because I think they're all very effective, unfortunately, on the daily jobs in the sector. If you had to speak for your responsibility?
Yeah, I would say this is really where driving crisis with all these factors are coming in at the same time. And I think that's a real big challenge that we're facing today, where they basically are joining together.
The combination, actually.
The combination of it. So I would think that, of course, the post-pandemic is still there. The supply chain disruptions are still reflection of it. But I think what is really key at the moment is indeed the energy crisis that we see around the world, and obviously driven by the geopolitical tension that we have in Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah. What we see right now, and we can see it also at the screens, the most people, 29%, almost 30%, say the war in Ukraine. 27% say, of course, energy prices and rising. Right now it's ex equo. So I think those two things are very much connected also. A quarter of the people, 24%, say the COVID-19 pandemic. So that is not, that's not vanished. And then we have trade disputes, 8%, climate change, 8%, and 5% staff shortage, which in some parts of the world is a big problem, but if we just go to the more and the bigger problems, we see that 28%, the war in Ukraine and the energy prices. Final question for you: what do you hope to get out of this event? So give us that as the final question, just before we go to the first speaker of the FeedTechnoVision event, broadcasted here live from the Netherlands. What do you hope to get out of this event? Please give us your input, because to get inspired, someone says, on how to deal with current market situations. Another person says simply hope, which is important, of course. And people are digiting right now. What do you hope to get out of this event? I, of course, first asked it to Pedro. Another person says safe feedcasts, insights, inspiration, decreasing ingredient costs, new angles or views on the biggest challenges. Somebody else says we need peace. If I could do something about that, of course, from this position, I would do. But I fully agree. I can say that. Decreasing ingredient costs, more insights, what's on the mind of the whole feed chain, knowledge and suggestions to share with customers, to get knowledge about the latest developments in the world, new ideas, to be enlightened, to get updated, to reduce feed production costs, to increase energy prices, feeding betterment, which can profit by farming, an update from the globe, and let me conclude saying with two: solution to feed technology and to update knowledge and to save feed costs.